Today, I am going to explain Canadian-French horror movie Even Lambs Have Teeth. In the opening scene of the movie, the promiscuous Sloane and the stiff Katie are looking forward to their planned out-of-town trip. In order to save money to go shopping in New York City, they will labor at Ecofield Organic Farms for a month. They are picked up by Katie's police officer Uncle Jason the following morning and will spend the night at Jason and his girlfriend's house before traveling to the property. Sloane advises that they should make up fictitious names while they are settling into their new home. While Katie comes up with the name Ripley, Sloane comes up with the name Heather. Uncle Jason drops the two off at the station the following day so they can catch the bus to the farm. As the watchful police uncle he is, Jason advises them to think up a safe phrase in case they encounter difficulties. The catch is that they have to end each SMS message with a code word. In other words, Jason requests that Katie email him a new code word every day in the correct order. Apple is the day's safe word. The two decide to wait at the cafe while they wait for the bus, which is expected to arrive in around an hour after the uncle departs. They wind up sitting at a table with two locals who show an immediate interest in them. The two males then present themselves as brothers with the names Jed and Lucas, while the two women introduce themselves using the fictitious names they made up the other night. The brothers offer to drive them to their place of employment, and despite Katie's initial reluctance, she eventually accedes to Sloane's silent pleading. The two eventually board the young men's blue pickup truck. But things don't turn out as expected. The two women are perplexed when Jed purposefully walks by the farm where Sloane and Katie are employed. Finally, they arrive. Jed and Lucas' mysterious mother welcomes the two women and offers to make them some tea before they visit the farm. When they are inside, Katie receives a text from her police uncle, and she replies with the safe words they had agreed upon to let him know she is okay. In the meantime, the two indulge in some pie and tea despite knowing full well that they shouldn't. It turns out that there are medications in their drinks, which causes their vision to become blurry. When the two realize something is wrong, they immediately flee for their life. Unfortunately, Jed and Lucas are able to carry them back inside after rendering them unconscious. The following day, Katie and Sloane are chained up in the midst of the woods and in a panic. As he approaches them, Jed informs them that they will now be residing here and provides them the necessities for survival like clothing, a bed, and a toilet. Now that Katie and Sloane are clothed, we cut to the following scene where Jed's employer, Boris, appears and snatches Katie's phone to see if anyone is aware of their whereabouts. At this time, he learns that Sloane and Katie made up both their names and the secret code word she used in the text message. Finally, Sloane and Katie are compelled to let him know that the word apple is a safety word. The town sheriff arrives with his revolver drawn just as Katie and Sloane are about to take a bath using homemade showers after everything is back on track. The sheriff, who is a piece of SHT who supports human trafficking, has actually arrived to rape one of the women. After the evil sheriff has had his full, Sloane visits Katie to reassure her. Uncle Jason, who lives on the opposite side of town, is becoming concerned because Katie's most recent text to him from yesterday's text uses the same safe word. Back inside the woods, Jed and Lucas greet a new customer whom we will refer to as Scruffy Guy from this point forward. Sloane is then picked up and brought into the trailer by him. Unsurprisingly, Scruffy Guy has psychotic tendencies. Returning to the cop uncle, he finally calls Sloane and Katie's place of employment and finds out that they were absent from work yesterday. He goes to look for them since he believes they are in danger. Sloane and Katie's day is going to become much worse because the incoming client is even sketchier than the previous one. As the next client approaches, Jed and Lucas hastily hide their heads. Sloane is picked up by the pig mask guy, who brings her inside the trailer. It is now Katie's chance to calm a distressed Sloane when he departs. Sloane is even more traumatized than before, so we can't be certain of what the man with the pig mask did to her. The town's lewd sheriff, whom we previously met, greets Uncle Jason as he enters the sheriff's office in the following scene. Here, we discover that the uncle is an FBI agent as well as a police officer. He expresses his worries and is certain that his niece has been abducted. For some reason, the FBI uncle chooses to inform the sheriff that he knows they are in trouble because Katie did not use a new code word in her most recent text message, which adds intrigue to the plot. Back in the woods, it's clear that the sheriff has told the abductors that Katie's uncle works for the FBI and that she lied to them about the safe word. The boss, Boris, orders Jeff to kill them both and dispose of their remains because he doesn't want the FBI to look into his human trafficking operation. They have no idea that Katie is listening in on their talk. The FBI uncle makes the decision to go to the cafe where he last dropped off Katie and Sloane while this is happening. Then he queries the barista as to his knowledge. The barista clearly recalls the type of truck that Katie and Sloane left in. The next day, just before the kidnappers and the Scruffy Guy come, Katie warns Sloane that they intend to kill them. Then they send the Scruffy Man back to keep an eye on them. Using this as an opportunity to entice him, Katie nips at his throat with her bare fangs as soon as she is close enough. The two women then start to untie their own bonds. Soon later, the sheriff shows up, seemingly with the intention of killing them. However, Katie and Sloan had just taken his car as he exits it. The two women return to town in their car and head to the hardware shop to prepare. Now, some serious crap is about to happen. They then ask the cashier if he knows Boris, the man with the blue truck, and the cashier knows where he lives. On the other side of town, Uncle Jason continues his investigation by visiting the town's car insurance building today. He asks who owns the blue truck after making up a tale about colliding with it by accident. Boris, the boss, has just returned home. It comes out that Katie and Sloan surprised him and injured him severely by throwing a number of tennis balls at him that were spiked with nails. Now that the situation has been reversed, Boris begs for his life and even offers to pay someone to spare him. Right then, Uncle Jason pulls up in front of Boris' house. Back inside, Katie and Sloan begin questioning him about the identity of the man with the pig mask. When Boris won't reveal it, Katie and Sloan use a homemade spear they fashioned to ram it up his behind, killing him in the process. When Uncle Jason eventually makes his way inside, it looks like Sloan and Katie have left. He then observes a dying Boris. When Jason hears the roar of approaching vehicles, he runs outside. While Uncle Jason rushes the dying Boris to the hospital, Katie and Sloan drive off. The sheriff tells Uncle Jason that Boris did not arrive in the following scene. Uncle Jason decides to attempt phoning Katie's phone out of concern, but the sheriff pulls a revolver when he realizes his cover has been exposed. When Katie and Sloan arrive in front of a church, we discover that the man with the pig disguise is actually the local priest. Sloan makes her entrance inside the church and comes face to face with her rapist. With Katie's help, the two best friends take down the bastard. As Katie and Sloan drive away, we see that they are now content carefree. But when they make a stop and step out of the car, it turns out that Pig Mask Dudak the priest is chained behind the truck this whole time. He is doused with gasoline as their final attack, and he is lit ablaze before they drive off. Uncle Jason is currently being held captive by the sheriff while the two women appear to be prospering. Even worse, it seems like the sheriff has taken two more young women into custody. Thankfully, Sloan and Katie have arrived to save the day. The sheriff is restrained before being subjected to a Russian roulette game of torture. Now that we can see it, it's clear that the two women are a little crazy, but in a way, we can't really blame them. The sheriff begins proclaiming how sorry he is right when Katie finally finishes him off with a blow to the head. Following that, Katie and Sloan set the women free and instructed them to set Uncle Jason free. Jason tries to find out who killed the sheriff, but the women are too grateful to say anything because Sloan and Katie saved their lives. Then, Katie and Sloan decide to drug Jed and Luca's mother in the same way that they drugged them a few days earlier on a visit to her home. They bind her and carry her to the cellar, where Jed is also bound and muzzled. They proceed to bash his head in with baseball bats while the mother is forced to watch. Up next, they take her to Luca's, who is also tied up to a chair. However, instead of beating him to death, they untie him, hand him a bat, and threatens him to beat his own mother. When Lucas voices his unwillingness, they shoot him dead. Afterwards, the two women set up his body so that it looks like he killed himself. It is revealed that they plan to pin all the murders on him. Desperate, the mother offers them money in exchange for sparing her life. But instead of sparing her, Katie takes the lawnmower and brutally murders her with it. On the next scene, Uncle Jason pulls up at Katie's house to pick her and Sloan up. It appears that some time has passed. Katie and Sloan get dropped off at the airport and excitedly make their way to New York City. Uncle Jason arrives to Katie's residence to fetch her and Sloan up in the following scene. It seems like a while has passed. After being driven off at the airport, Katie and Sloan fly to New York City with anticipation. Thank you for watching. We will meet up with a brand new movie. Till then, take care. Bye bye.